Hello everyone. So I hope I'm audible clearly. Okay, so if my voice is clearly audible to everyone, just write down yes or no in the chat box. Hello everyone. So I hope I'm audible clearly. Okay, so we have audience from YouTube as well, and we have audience on Zoom as well. Okay, so yeah. Okay. So everyone might have read the title of this session, that basically it is going to be all about how to select the right automation testing tool, right? Okay, thank you, Himanshu. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay. So first of all, welcome everyone to this engaging session on how to select the right automation testing tool. So in today's session, we'll be having a distinguished mentor, Mr. Akhil Jain. So Akhil already has around 12 years of invaluable experience in the field of quality assurance, and currently he holds the esteemed position of SDET, that is Software Development Engineering and Test. Especially his SDET lead over there. So throughout his career, Akhil has contributed significantly to the world of software testing and automation, making him a true expert in this field. So all the guidance and all the information that you will be getting already has a lot of experience in this area. So basically, like, we know that selecting the right automation testing tool is a very crucial decision for any organization, because it can significantly impact the efficiency, reliability, and overall success of a software testing process. So with a rapid advancement in this technology, the tools available in the market, this task has become more complex than ever before. So without further ado, I would like to invite Akhil to share his expertise on how to select the right automation testing tool.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the nice intro. Thank you. Let me share my screen. Yep. Hi, everyone. So myself, Akhil Jain, and as Jay mentioned, so today we are going to discuss about how we can select the right automation tool for the need. So overall, there's a process which people should be using when it comes to selecting the tool, because there are many factors involved. Because first of all, the literacy of the team itself gets into the picture, like what all expertise does the team already has, and what actually you can bring in more. Second of all, you need to understand like what are the trending. You also look out for the trending tools, right? And but above all, it is the requirement, it is the need of the project which should be taken with the highest priority. So let's start the process. Let's try to understand like how there is a process, what process we should be follow to achieve that task. Okay, so let's understand. So let's say that there is a need for doing an automation, and there is a new team being set up, or there's already a team which is set up, but you wanted to initiate a new automation. You need to perform some automation for a new piece of software, or for an existing one also, but you're trying to implement something new. Now the question arises like there are hundreds of tools or frameworks or things available on the net. Why, what, and why you should be choosing the any specific tool? Now to break it down, right, to come to the last tool like which you should be using, there needs to be a process around it. So we'll discuss that first. We'll try to understand on a high level what exactly you can do about it. So first thing, you need to understand like what is the automation purpose your project holds. Like what exactly is it like you want to achieve by doing that automation? What do I mean by that? Let's say that the project has just started, and as of now there is a the out of the three layers like backend, front end, and database. Let's say the backend layer is ready and the database is also ready, but the front end work is still going on. Now we are looking out for a framework or an automation methodology in place where you could automate the backend part. So your purpose here becomes that you want to automate the backend, which is the API layer, right? Or the processing logic which you hold, which the project holds. Now, for that specific need, right, the kind of tools you would be looking out for, right, would be entirely different to the ones which you would be looking out for the front end tools, like the UI, right? So, for example, you could use there are plenty of them. You could be using Postman, right, which is like a UI tool. There is a UI of the tool, and you can start, and there are templates, there are windows available on it, right, where you can just fill in the values and then just trigger it and then get the output. You could use that tool, or there is a CLI version of the tool which you could use for the Postman itself. So, which is Newman. You could use that also. Apart from this, let's say you want to use so through the coding, let's say you start saying that, okay, I will be using Java as a programming language and I want to use a library. So you start searching for that library and you find out that, okay, there is a rest assured library which I could use. So you could use that, or there could be a karate library which you could be using for meeting the same needs. The second there could be another dimension to this question, right? Let's say what kind of APIs you're trying to target to automate, right? Is it REST based? Is it the SOAP based, or is it something else, right? That also comes into the picture to play the role around it. So you need to decide, you need to understand, like, what is your objective and what is the application which you are trying to automate, and then you will have to find the answers around it. So the first part in the process is you have to have a list of questions with you, right? You need to get them answered first so that you can start searching for the solutions around it, right? Similarly, there could be a need to do a UI automation. Okay, great. So for UI automation, there are plenty of tools again available on the net, right? There could be no code tools. There could be some UI tools. There could be some open source tools which you could be using. There could be some paid tools, right? So again, this could be one dimension to that. Second dimension could be, you would say that, okay, what is the tech stack was being used in your project to develop that front end, that UI? Are you using any single page application like React or Angular? Okay, if you are using that thing, right, then does it make more sense to use JavaScript based frameworks, let's say WebDriver IO, Cypress, or something else? Or is it like or we should be sticking to what the Selenium part to use it, right? And accordingly, the language which you would be using to automate, right, also comes into the picture. Like, what language does that tool supports? So overall, what I'm trying to make you understand is that there needs to be some answers to our question first, right? You need to ask the right questions. You need to have the right questions written so that you can get those answers. So that is the first stage, right? The second stage would be like, you would be then saying that, okay, out of that automation tool, right? Okay, so the first thing is done, right? You know, like, okay, what is my purpose? What is something which you want to achieve from automation here, right? You got those answers. Now you start looking out, saying that, okay, I will select some of the tools based on a specific criteria set, right? You laid down some criteria for the tools to be selected. So one of the criteria could be, let's say that we don't need paid tools. What will you be doing is, we will be using open source tools only. So that could be one criteria, right? Second criteria could be, based on your team skill set, right? You start saying, okay, we will be preferring the tools which can support Java language. We'll not take the tools which needs a learning curve on JavaScript or any other language for that matter, right? And similarly, let's say that you say that, okay, we need a tool which is only like UI based tool. Let me use a tool like, let's say, HPQTP, right? Okay, I'll use that tool, and I'll get the object repository, and then I'll just drag and drop the elements from there. And there are many more tools which works on that kind of a UI tool, right? So again, depending on your criteria which you laid down, you need to have that criteria also, and then you need to pick one tool. Okay, then see, okay, does it meet my criteria? Okay, then I'll put it in my kitty. Okay, I will pick another tool and then do a check again. Does it meet the criteria which I'm looking out for? No, then just keep it back. And then similarly, in the end, you will have a pool of tools, right? Then the next stage will start. Then you need to also understand, as I said, that you need to understand like what is the current strength you hold within the team, right? Like, are people okay with using Java? Are people using, I mean, are they comfortable writing JavaScript, or do they have expertise on, let's say, CI/CD using Jenkins, or any specific CI/CD tool is required to do that, let's say GitLab, or what currently your the development team is using, right? You need to take all those things into the picture, right? And then you need to have a skill mapping sheet within your team to say that, okay, this is what my team is comfortable on, right? So that by viewing this information, you get to know, okay, this is something, if I choose a particular tool and it requires certain type of skill sets, does my team has the capabilities already built, so that they can just start using the tool? Or if I am okay to use or allow a learning curve for my team, so that they can start exploring the tool or the skill set required to use that tool, right? We will talk about more about each of these individually, but on a high level, I'm just trying to lay down the process here. Then you will, as I said, that based on the criteria, right, based on your skill set and everything, right, you will then start exploring the tools over the net. You will say that, okay, you went to the Google, you start asking your peers and all, and you come up with a list of, let's say, 5-10 tools, right? And then your pool is ready, right? Now, you again, depending on the team skill set, you will narrow down the approach, right? You will narrow down the size of the kitty, and then let's say out of 10, now you select, okay, my team and I will be comfortable, or this is the tool which meets. These are the, let's say, 4-5 tools. Now after filtering, we find out only 4-5 tools which are okay for our use. So let's keep them and rest, and let's pick let's remove the remaining ones from the kitty. Now on the selected tools, you can do a POC around it based on the use case you define, and then come up with the results. Then do again a review of those results, and then come up with the answer, or come up with the discussion where you will be discussing about the pros and cons and all the things around the tool which you've experienced, right? And then in the end, you will come up with the tool which you need to use. So overall, this is the flow of selecting the right tool which you should be following when there's a task to identify a new tool, right? So let's get into each step individually, and let's see like how that goes, right? So right. So the first stage, right, where we are saying that, okay, we need to first understand the purpose of our automation. So let's say that what kind of testing you want to automate. So let's say that as I gave the example for API, as I gave the example for UI, right? Similarly, let's say that there is a need for you to do a performance testing. Okay, great. So now you understood, okay, so there is a need to do performance testing now. Then the selection of the tools itself gets narrowed, right? Now you will not be looking at tools like WebDriver IO, or let's say Selenium, right? No, you will not be looking out for these tools. Then the kind of tools which you will be looking out would be like JMeter, like Load Runner, like there are many more, right? Which could be used for the specific need of doing the performance testing. And same rules apply when it comes to API testing and UI testing also. So you need to understand like what is the purpose of like what is the kind of testing which you want to do. The second is, let's say, the purpose to automate, right? Now let's say, let's what I mean to say here is like uh, again, depending on the stage on which where your project is, right? There could be different needs. So let's say that the simple case is like there is nothing and you are starting fresh, right? So the idea would be there to have something in place so that the team can use it to automate, right? That is the basic need there. So the kind of tools you will explore or the kind of freedom you will have in choosing the tool would vary, right? And in this particular case, it would be very you will have more freedom to choose the tool, right? But let's say there's a second case where there is a framework which is already in place, the tools are already in place which you are consuming for a specific need. Let's say for UI, you already have selected that for UI testing we are using Selenium with Java, and there is a testing framework and reporting framework already selected, right? Now let's say that as part of the project needs, now you also need to add API testing to it. Now you will have to think about, you will have to think like should I see when you are working on that Selenium plus Java, right? Programming language used is what? Java, right? You are also using, let's say, a BDD flavor, you are using Cucumber, right? Okay, great. So you are using the given when then syntax with Gherkin syntax, and you're following the behavior driven pattern. Okay, you are using, let's say, LEO report. So now you will say that, okay, can I have a framework in place which can use the similar skill sets which I am already using on UI, and can it be used for API testing also? Yes, there could be, again, there could be both the answers, yes and no, right? In this particular case, the answer would be yes. Yes, you can do the using the same skill sets. You can have a framework in place for API also. How? You can use rest assured APIs, right? You can use those libraries, and then again, the process is same. You will just create a dependency, get that libraries included, and then start creating your framework around it. You over there, what you're doing, you're still using Java for programming language, you're still using Maven for building up the project and to bring in the dependencies. You can still use your behavior driven pattern development, right? You can still use the reporting which you are already consuming, right? And the execution can also be done like based on your current infra only. If you are still using Jenkins, you can continue using Jenkins, right? So so this dimension of looking at things, right, like where you are in the project, right, and what is the need. Are you saying that, okay, I need a solution which can complement my existing frameworks, right? Then the answers will be different. But depending on your situation, the answer can vary, right? Now coming on to next, let's say that there could be a need saying that, okay, we just need to increase the coverage, we need to do it quickly, right? And we don't have time. Okay, great. So let's say there are some paid tools coming in which you could which will meet that need, right? Where you don't need a learning curve, you don't need anything. You get a support from since you have bought that tool and the subscription on it, you get that support from their team, and the learning curve is also let's say. So you will try to use that and get your let's say it has a record and play feature. You will just record things and then start playing, just to increase the coverage you have, right? So you need to take into account your specific needs you have when it comes to automating the stuff. As I explained about the existing framework also, right? Let's say as I gave the example for that Java and API thing. So that is the same thing. One more thing which is very important, which you should be definitely be considering, right? You should be knowing about the technical tech stack, which the tech stack which your dev team has put in, right? Let's say that you have a 3-tier architecture, you are using backend, front end, and database, right? You should be knowing like what is the technology which is used to build all this. Let's say that people say that, okay, but the front end is based on single page application, it is based on, let's say, it is using React to create the front end. Now React is again has to be developed using then JavaScript based frameworks, right? So then you get the answer. Okay, so my development team already has the expertise on writing JavaScript. So, and they have already created a a UI on it. So I can leverage this information for myself. Okay, although I'll come to a second point which will negate this, but let's understand that. Okay, we got that input. Second of all, let's say that on the backend side, okay, we are using Spring Boot to build the backend for our application, which is the API layer, let's say. And we say, okay, our team has the expertise on Java, and even the dev team is using the same language. So it will keep things in sync. And if we face any issues, we can reach out to the team and get the answers quickly. Second of all, these languages or the tools which are widely accepted, or which are very trending or very popular and are consumed by a lot of different companies and teams, right? They also have the kind of support you will get from online, right? Will be immense. So if you are stuck in a situation, the chances are you will get the answers to that problem very quickly by going over the net, right? So you have to also consider that point when you are selecting the tool. The next thing is, as I said, about the single page application, right? You will consider that point. What technology it uses, what programming language it helps to remain consistent tech stack, right? And also has to get answers from dev teams. So as I was explaining, so this is what the intention should be when it comes to understanding, like, what is the purpose of the automation, and you should be able to get the answers. You should be able to collect the answers so that you can form an informed decision, right? And all these factors comes into the picture to decide that. So let's come to the second slide. Now, let's say you understood, okay, that my need is to do an API testing. My backend is built on Spring Boot, which is Java based, and I also already have a UI framework which is Selenium with Java based, and I want to let's say leverage my existing skill sets which my team possesses. So all these things becomes your factors to consider when it comes to selecting the tool, right? They will come in as the input for you. Now you have to also lay down the criteria to say that, okay, out of these 4 or 5 tools which I will select, right, or which I will be considering, should have these I mean, they should be having these features at least, right? So let's say that the first kind, the one of the feature which you will be looking out is whether the tool is a no-code tool, which, let's say that your team doesn't have or you don't want your team to have a lot of technical skills, or you don't want to build up things from grounds up, right? You are looking for a tool where you can just drag and drop or record, right? And then come up with the automation for that specific need. So then you will start exploring those kind of tools, like a no-code tools. Second could be like UI tool. Like as I said, let's say for API testing, you will be exploring, let's say for Postman, right? Postman is more like a UI tool where you get a UI of the tool and you can just fill in the values and do and start creating your collections, or you can initiate your request and then validate the response and all, right? So those are those tools. DIY tools means do it yourself, right? So these are tools like Selenium, right? Which or rest assured in case of API, right? You have the libraries with you, right? You can just consume those libraries, but you will have to build up the framework around it so that you could make use of that. The second thing would be like the very important thing, whether it is an open source or paid, right? So because money gets involved here. So again, in the first part also there is a money involved, because most of the no code tools, right, or UI tool for that matter, can come with some limited features, or they are not available at all, and the full power of these tools can only be utilized once those are with paid subscriptions. So you will have to understand, like whether your project will allow you to have a paid tool to be used, or is it only around open source tools, right? which are free for you to consume, right? So that is a very important factor to consider. Okay, the third thing, something which can be fit in existing framework, right? As I said, for case of let's say you already have a UI framework and you want to build up on the API side. So if this is the if you're looking out for something which can fit in your existing framework, you will definitely be choosing a library-based approach like REST assured, right? You will choose that, and then you can use the same skill set and the tools which you already have for the purpose of API testing also, right? And again, depending on the, if let's say you are in a different situation where you have to create a new framework, then you have more freedom to choose things, and then depending on the other factors, you can make a decision. The next part which I feel is about the CLI support, whether the tool which you will be selecting, whether it provides a command line integration, right? Like, does it provide the CLI support? Like in case of Postman, right? As I was saying, which is true, right? You can have a UI where you will be designing the test cases and all, right? But it also provides you a command line tool where you can just which is Newman, right? You can use it to just run the test cases. You don't require a UI tool for it. Once your test cases are ready, you can just use Newman CLI and just run the test cases, be it on your local machine or be it on a CI/CD tool like Jenkins or GitLab or anywhere else. So this is one important factor, because, and this is an important one, because ultimately the thing would be like, you would be depending on your project infra, you will have to decide like where those execution will be happening. Are you going to say that, okay, I'll be using my project's infra only, which is, let's say, that where my dev or my the application is getting built. If I'm going to use the same infra, then you need an answer to this question. But let's say in the second case, let's say that you say that, okay, I don't care, my application is hosted, let's say on a particular endpoint, right? And I can just I will use some other execution engine, like let's say you will be using Sauce Labs, right? What you will do is like you don't care, and the way you execute things, you don't need to build the infra on your end. Then you can just trigger the execution using those cloud engines, right? And then do the execution. And over there also, right, you can still use CLI, or you could not, you could avoid CLI. But the point is that there are certain tools which does not provide you the CLI support, where you could just go into the machine and or write the command to execute it. You will have to go to the UI and do the execution and run it. And if it defeats the purpose of having the automation, then you should not be considering that tool, right? But again, depending on your needs, you will have to make a judgment there. So this becomes one of the factor where it will come in, and this needs to be looked at. Okay, the next thing is like you need to see like whether to work on that specific tool, does it require you to learn a new programming language? Now this is a big investment. So let's say that you have a team of 5 or 6 people, right? And most of them are already familiar with Java and they are okay with Java. And any work given on it, they can work. But let's say that on UI, there's a need for a UI automation framework, and your team decides that that the product is based on like single page application using technology like React. And you search the net and you find that, okay, the best tool to do the automation on this kind of a UI is, let's say, WebDriver IO. Okay, so does WebDriver IO supports you to write Java or JavaScript, right? So you will have to decide that, okay, let's say that it does not provide support for Java, it can only be written in JavaScript. Then you will have to think multiple times, like, okay, the best tool to do the automation is WebDriver IO. Okay, I get that. But does my team already has the capability to work on it? No. The answer is no there, right? Your existing team skill set does not meet the needs of the tool, right? So and if you say that okay, it is, I will still go ahead with using the tool, then then you will have to also consider that there would be a learning curve, and a huge learning curve. Learning a programming language and building up the same similar kind of a skill set among the team is not easy. Is not easy in a short period of time. Then you will have to consider a bigger timeline for yourself. The team has to be has to come to a level where they can expect some basic coding experience, right, with the language itself. Similarly, the thing is for the Python also. Like, let's say if your team does not know Python and a tool requires you to know Python or Groovy or any other language, right? So you should be considering that point. And depending on the things which are allowed by the project, you can make that judgment. Next is the reporting guidelines. So what I mean by that, so let's say that there is a, you already the need for the, what is the purpose of doing text execution? We need to make sure that okay, that the whether the, we need to distribute the reports to these, to the right stakeholders, right? And does that report holds the correct information or the information which we require for our needs? Or is it like just on a high level, and we are not getting the kind of the output which we need from that execution, from that report? If that is the case, then accordingly you will make a judgment. For example, let's say that if you would have used Allure report, you would have seen that okay, that report, right, itself is not something like which you can just pick up and start mailing people. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That report needs to be hosted somewhere, right? So that, and you can share the link of that report with your team, and then start consuming that report, right? And the kind of detail that report will have is immense. You can attach screenshots. You can just attach the logs of the execution you had. You could see the high level execution and all, right? So you need to understand like what is your need of the test reporting part. Is it just to show the pass fail status and you're okay with it? Then accordingly you will select a tool, right? And not all the tools support all the testing reporting framework, right? Some of the tools comes with their own test reporting part. So you will have to look at that side also when it comes to the reporting, because these reports are like the face of your tool, right? Whatever you do, right, in the end, what matters is like how the output is displayed. If it is not displayed in the right way, in the right context, it could mean different things for different people, right? So you have to take that point into consideration. The next part is like, can it be integrated in existing CI/CD pipeline? So if let's say that you're already consuming GitLab for your in your project, the dev team is already using GitLab for the CI/CD of the code, right? Which they already have in place. Now you select a tool, you select a specific tool which cannot be integrated with the GitLab, but it is okay to use it with Jenkins, let's say. Then then it will be like an additional headache for the team, right, to manage things. So you will have to kind of build up the Jenkins. So you will have to maintain servers for Jenkins, or you will have to maintain the agent machines and all, right? There would be there would be an investment required for doing all that, right? And the time and energy needs to be devoted on that side also, right? If the project is ready to do that and there is a reasoning to do that, then it is fine. Otherwise, what usually people will do is like they will try to see that okay, in my existing infra, how can I fit in this execution also as part of my CI/CD execution? So the tool which you select has to be fit into the current CI/CD tool itself. So you need to take that decision also around it. Okay, so the last part which I've written is allows to reuse the existing knowledge which team possess, or a learning curve is required. So as we have already discussed this point. So again, these are the points which you can consider when it comes to laying down the like the criteria which you think can be taken up for selecting an automation tool. Now you have two things ready. One, you already have the inputs, like why you need the automation, right? What is the purpose of doing that? So you have the answers to that. Second question, like what is the criteria for me to select a tool? Now, after this analysis, you will get the answers to those questions also. Now, moving next. Third, this is another answer which you have to get first. You need to know like what is the current skill set which your team possesses, right? Like you could create a sheet, Excel sheet, and you could create columns for these skill sets. Let's say you start mapping people like, okay, does my team knows about Java? Okay, what level of Java do they understand? Do they have understanding on JavaScript, right? Similarly, other languages. Now let's say that you were looking for let's say on a UI automation framework, right? So you will say, okay, there are many frameworks available. Let's see like who all has worked on what, right? So you will get an idea by looking at the sheet that, okay, some of the people already have some insights about this framework. Let's say that 2 out of 5 have already worked on WebDriver IO, or let's say Protector for that matter, right? So you will get to understand, okay, so people do understand like how JavaScripts work, and they have the understanding of how the asynchronous operation happens. So you have some capabilities within the team, so you will get that idea from this kind of a sheet. Similarly, you can select that, okay, does my team has some experience on Postman, JMeter, whatever tool which you feel can be used within your team. So you will try to get the answer to that. Again, reporting frameworks, CI/CD integration, like is your, let's say that till now we have been using Jenkins only. So now the way Jenkins works, right? The for the CI/CD part, it is not same as GitLab, right? The kind of configuration, the kind of logic with which that work, right, is different to it. So if you have this skill set mapping within the team, you will get to know, okay, some of the folks have some understanding on GitLab and they have some prior experience. So it will give you the confidence whether if you decide to use a tool which can be only integrated with GitLab, will it can I take that risk to choose that tool itself based on this skill mapping sheet. So this skill mapping sheet will give you an answer or will help you to make some informed judgment again, the decisions again, right? So this is the third input for you. First, the purpose of the automation, why you're doing it, what is the need, what is the tech stack, and all, right? You get on that answer. Second, the criteria. You lay down the criteria for selecting the tool. Third, you look out for your team's current skill set, whether what skill set do you have within the team. Now, the fourth thing. Now let's say you decided, okay, all these inputs I have. Now let me go out and let me try to search for the tools which are available, right? There would be hundreds of tools, but for different needs or different purposes. Let me try to get a pool ready where those tools would be meeting my need, right? So first of all, you need, as a team, you need to understand like that based on your needs, right? To all the questions which we just looked at, like what all tools are available in the market to do that. So how you can get those inputs? First of all, you can start having a discussion within the team itself. You have 5-6 different folks, right? You can come into a meeting and then have a discussion and take input from everyone, that okay, as per you, what is the best tool which you feel, or the tools which you think can meet our needs, and you then collate that list, right? Second of all, the inputs which you can get about the tools is, you can go and search Google, you can read articles around the different tools, right? And get to understand from there whether these tools will be able to meet your needs or not. Again, add or remove the tools from the kitty around it. Third is like, you could go to different teams, right, or your peers, and you can get to know like what they are using for this specific need in their project, right? So you can get a real-time feedback from them, where they will be able to tell you, okay, this could be the right tool or not the right tool for you, right? So you can have that discussion with them, and you can get some answers from them, right? So now from all the directions, right, you got all the inputs regarding the tools which you could use, and then you can then form that list, right? Now start having a discussion in the team with respect to those tools, right? And then you will come to know about some of the pros and the cons, right, of the tools based on the criteria need which you selected for the tool, right? You can then start saying that, okay, that out of the 15 tools which I selected from across the internet, right? Like, okay, so this is using these tools, I can meet my automation purpose need, right? The first question, okay, these all 15 tools helps me to meet those objectives, which is the first question, right? Like if you're looking out for API testing, then okay, these are 15 tools which can meet my needs. Okay, now you will trim down the list. How? Now you will look at the criteria which you have set for the tool, right? You will look into the criteria and then say, okay, this tool supports this. Okay, this tool does not. So you will pick the one you will and which meets the need, and remove the ones which doesn't, right? And in the end, you will have a kind of a refined or a filtered list of tools which you will have with you, and you can start to initiate some POCs around it. So that is the next stage which will pick up. So this is how you come up with the first list of tools which can be explored. Now this is the part where the like till now we were only having discussions and things, right? And we formulate some questions and got the answers. We explored internet, right, and got our answers, and have a discussion with our peers, with our team members, and got all the answers, and then filtered a list. Till now we haven't done anything on the tool itself. Now this is the stage where you need to initiate some POCs around the selected tools. Let's say after the stage 4, right, you were able to get some tools. Let's say you were able to get 4 tools which you think which meets my needs also, which meets the needs of the automation purpose also, and which I think can be picked up by the based on my team skill set also, or this is something which we can generate within the team regard if it has a short learning curve. So depending on those factors, you selected these 4 tools. Now what will happen is now you need to do a POC around those tools just to get the real-time inputs from that feel. You can get the real-time feel from that tools. So what you'll do is you will first of all you will not ask one person to do all the POCs. That should not be that is not a very ideal case. We should not do that. What we can do is we can let's say that there are 3 or 4 tools which you selected to do that POC on, then I would suggest to have 3-4 different guys who would be looking at the POCs individually for those tools, right? So let's say person 1 got the hands-on on the first tool, and second person second tool, and so on. Now the kind of POCs which they will be doing should be similar, right? So so what I mean by that is, let's say what you will do is, like, you will define a use case. You will say, okay, this is my workflow which everyone understands, and this is something which we will target to automate. Okay, so as part of the automation, these are the kind of like, let's say, this is the kind of structure which we'll be following. This is the kind of the execution which we'll be doing. We'll try to integrate this with Jenkins also. We'll try to execute it from the local machine also. What is the reporting part, right? We need to incorporate that reporting also. So what all attributes which you want to explore or want to have in your framework, right, or in the tool, you will ask the person to include that as part of that POC, right? And when the person is doing that POC, he will try to implement all that using the tool. And in the process, what will happen is, like, once the person starts doing it, and he or she will be able to understand, okay, this is how this can be achieved, right? Or this is how it cannot be done. Or you will get the real answers to the question whether this tool really meets the objectives or the needs which we have for the project or not, right? So using this way of doing a POC, right, where everyone, where the playground is same for all, right? For all the tools to be evaluated on, right? So you provided the similar use case, you provided the same similar kind of criteria, right, and objectives which you are looking out from the POC. So you will then, once the POC is done, right, you would be able to better evaluate tools, because you are comparing an apple with an apple, right, in that case. So you will be able to compare the tools better, in a better way, and you will be able to make a better decision for yourself. And since you have already laid down the objective which needs to be meet, which are again based on your project needs, right, in the end you will be having a better answer to all your questions. So now, and again, you need to decide a timeline for POC. Otherwise, POCs keeps going on. So you say that, okay, within this timeline, we are covering this POC, and these are the objectives. And once the POC is done, right, have a demonstration on the POC. So make everyone sit, and the person who has done the POC, he can do a walkthrough of the POC and show the execution, and show the all the criterias of the POCs, and explain like whether he was able to meet the criteria or not, or what challenges it faced while doing that POC to meet that criteria need. So and as part of the team discussion here, right, there would be a good analysis being done on real time, where everyone would be able to have a discussion, and discuss like how easy or tough, or what are the pros and cons around the tools itself, and you will get the inputs from all the folks around it, right? And let's say that out of the discussion you also get some feedback from someone, right? And then you decide to have to loop in that feedback into the framework, so that you can check the implemented part of it. So you can again sit and see whether that feedback helped, or it helped to remove it, right? To remove the bottleneck which you could have faced while performing the POC. So what I'm trying to say is, once the POC is done, do a demonstration for the team. Show them whether that your whether you were able to meet the criteria which was laid down for doing a POC, whether this tool meets our criteria or not, right? And in the end, from the person who has done the POC, he should be able to say in a single in a yes and no format, saying that, okay, yes, I feel this tool can be picked up, or no, this tool cannot be picked up as this is not been able to meet this criteria. So you will be having either yes or no, right? And then you can take that input into the factor. Once you do it for all the tools, right, you will be able to then again filter out some of the tools based on the process which we did for the POC, and then you will come up with the final list of the tools which can be picked up, right? Now it's time to make a decision. You will have to decide based on the collected data we have till now, which we think from the POC's result which we got, what tool, let's say that in the end you were able to shortlist only two tools. You were able to come to two tools. Now you still have to make a decision, okay, out of these two tools, which is the one which I can use, right? Then again, there is no hard and fast rule around it. Let's say one of the tool is more trendy or more popular to use, right? Then my instinct would be like, I would be going with that tool. I will say, okay, because this tool is used by more people and this is more trendy, so I will try to choose that tool in that case. Let's say in the second case, the tool is new and it is trendy, but the kind of support which is available online is not much. People have started using it because it's a new thing. And let's say that there's a new tool coming in which starts saying that, okay, we are using generative AI to which is in place, which is used within the tool. Okay, it makes the tool very trendy and very catchy, and a lot of people starts using it. But does it have the kind of support which you will get
when you are stuck somewhere, as compared to the other tool for which you already have the support available, and there's a big community available on the internet which can help you out, or which would have already faced some issues. So depending, again, everything depends on the needs, right? So if this, in this particular case, if you're fine with the first case, right, whether you, for you what matters is the trendy part. So you will get, okay, I'll use this generative AI tool which will help me in testing. So you will choose that tool. But in my, if I would have been there, I would have seen that, okay, this is the second tool seems to be more reasonable, because the people are still using it, and we have already evaluated it based on our criteria needs. It meets those expectations, and there's a big community which is already using it in their respective projects. And if we are stuck, we can get the answers. So that is again based on the combined decision which comes from everyone, right? You can then select that particular tool, right, and start using that tool within the project, right? So this is, and in the end you should be saying that, okay, in the end, once that tool is selected, right, you can then again cross verify and check whether whatever you have documented, whether all things are being met or not, right? And then you can give a reasoning for selecting the tool based on the analysis which you did as part of the complete process. So this is how you could select that tool. And that's, I mean, this is the entire process around the tool, be it any tool. If you start working on API, UI, performance, or security for that matter, or database testing, or anything else which you feel needs to be done, right? Or why only framework? Let's say that or any specific tool. Let's say on the test reporting framework itself, you are confused in let's say that what reporting we should be using. Whether should we stick to default test engine reporting itself, or should I move to extend report, LEO report, or any other thing, right? Then for those needs also, you should be following the similar process, right? Where you laid down the criteria to meet the tools, and then start evaluating the tools based on those needs. And if they meet, then you can add in the kitty or remove them, and again do the POCs and everything, and come up with the last tool in which you should be selecting within the team. So this is what I wanted to cover as part of today's discussion. I hope this was informative, and next time, like if there's a need to select a tool, you know, like what process you can follow and what factors you should keep in mind when selecting the tool. Okay, so I have, let me look like if we have some questions from the folks on YouTube. Okay, so Akshay Sangvi is saying, sir, explain Hindi. Okay, Akshat, I think I'm sure like you would able to understand my English. I'm not very expert in English, but I hope I was able to answer or explain things. So I think you should be fine then. Okay, so the second person, Shubham, is asking, how can I switch from development to automation testing? Okay, so Shubham, what I feel is like from the technical side, right? There are two aspects to it. Let's say one is the technical aspect, right? Where whether someone has these required skill sets or the knowledge on the tools or the languages or things around it, right? Whether that person has that capability or not. So when you are saying that if you're coming from development background, then I think you have that, you already have that capability, right? Right. So you meet that, so you already meet that criteria. But there's a second aspect to that also. Testing is not only about the tools or the technical expertise which the person has. It is more about the testing mindset. Whether you're able to think about the scenarios, whether you're able to understand the user's perspective, or whether you are able to answer or let's say question things, right? And then again, based on the inputs, you can refine your thought process, right? So this process helps you to to create better test cases, right? And ultimately, when you have better test cases, you will be able to write better, whether you're doing it manual testing also, then it helps there, right? And the same thing, once the same test case which have been used for manual testing, right? Those are the same things which you will be using for automation also. So it is more about the testing mindset, and I think it is not like so one person can do it or the other person can't do it. It's just that that you need to have that mindset in place where you could do that stuff, right? If you think like you are able to do that, then it's perfectly fine from switching to development. I mean, from development to automation testing. I think people within the industry would be happy to have someone who has the technical expertise which can be used in having or enhancing the capabilities within the existing team. So this would be an add-on for the team, but it's just that the person also needs to bring in the testing mindset also. If you have that, I don't think there is any problem in doing that. And again, it depends on the personal interest of the person. Many of the people also try to switch from automation to development, right? So again, it depends on the interest and whether the required things are in place for that transition to happen. So if they do, then the transition can be made. Okay, great. So I hope I was able to answer your question. I don't have any questions anywhere else. So I think we're good for the today's session, and I thank you so much for your time. You extracted out your time on the weekend to have a view on this discussion today, and I hope this will help you to select the right tool in your project or your personal needs. Next time you try to do that. So thank you again. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend, and bye-bye. Take care.